If you're a project manager, you know the feeling, right? You've got this plan, this budget, this deadline, but out there, in the real world, things get messy. So how do you deal with that uncertainty? How do you plan for a future that refuses to sit still? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a seriously powerful tool that does just that.
I mean, think about it. You can plan everything down to the penny to the minute. But there are always those curveballs, those things you just can't nail down. And sometimes it all comes down to a really simple question, like, what if it rains? That one little question is the key to unlocking one of the smartest techniques in all of project management.
So to really get our heads around this, let's forget the Gantt charts and spreadsheets for a minute. Instead, picture this. You are now the official project manager for the Little Puddleton Annual Fete. Your mission? Make sure it's a roaring success and raise enough cash for the new Village Hall roof. The tea is brewing. The bunting is up. No pressure.
So you do a quick back-of-the-envelope calculation. You figure out your costs, take a wild guess at how many people will show up, and you come up with a single number for your profit. It looks neat, but it feels a bit, well, dodgy, doesn't it? Because that one little number is pretending it knows exactly what's going to happen, and we all know life isn't that simple.
And that right there is the big problem with what people call deterministic models, where one set of inputs gives you one single outcome. It's really just a best guess. And in a world filled with unknowns, a single guess, no matter how educated, just isn't going to cut it. We need to see the whole picture, warts and all.
And that brings us to the star of our show, the Monte Carlo simulation. Now, I know, that sounds incredibly complicated, maybe a little intimidating, but the idea behind it is actually brilliant. Instead of planning our fate just once, what if we could run it, say, 10,000 times on a computer? And each time, we change things up a little. A bit more sun, a few less cake sales, you get the idea. By doing that, we get to see all the possible outcomes. And this is the important part, how likely each one actually is.
And you are not going to believe where this idea came from. It wasn't invented for planning village fates. Nope. It was developed back in the 1940s by a mathematician named Stanislav Ulam while he was working on the Manhattan Project. He named it Monte Carlo after the famous casino, because at its heart, it's all about understanding the odds and the role of pure chance. How wild is that? A tool that helped build the first atomic weapons is now going to help us plan our kickstall.
So how in the world do we run our little fate 10,000 times? Well, it sounds like a massive job, but it really isn't. It all breaks down into 4 pretty straightforward steps.
Here we go. Step 1. We create a simple model for our project, a basic formula for profit. Step 2. We list everything that's unpredictable, all those random variables. Step 3. We give each of those uncertainties a range of possible values. And finally, Step 4, the fun part, we just hit go and let the computer do all the hard work, running that simulation again and again and again.
So for our Little Puddleton fate, what are those uncertainties? Well, you've got the classic, unpredictable British weather, of course. The Vickers had a look at the clouds and reckons there's a 30% chance of rain. We have no idea how many people will actually turn up. Will the Victoria sponge cake be a hit? Will people go mad for the tombola? Even the cost of supplies could change. All of these are things we just can't pin down to one single number.
Okay, so we plug all of those variables and their chances into our model, and we press the big button. The computer then runs a full simulation of Fete. Then it does it again and again, thousands of times. Each run is a slightly different universe, one where it drizzled all afternoon, another where the cake stall sold out in an hour. And after 10,000 different versions of our day, we get the results.
And this is where the magic happens. Because what the computer spits out isn't one single dodgy number. Oh no. Instead, Monte Carlo gives us this rich, detailed picture of all the possible futures. It helps us turn all that confusing uncertainty into actual, practical insights we can use.
The first thing we get is something like this, a frequency distribution. Now, don't let the name scare you. This chart just shows us how many times each profit level happened in our 10,000 simulations. And right away you can see, wow, the most common result, which happened 5,000 times, was a profit somewhere between 700 and 900 pounds. That's our most likely outcome.
And this, right here, is the whole point of the exercise. We haven't gotten rid of the uncertainty, we can't do that, but we've put a frame around it. We've given it a shape. We've gone from one fragile, dodgy guess to a solid range of possibilities. And now we know which parts of that range are most likely to happen. That is a game changer. And we can slice this data in another really useful way by looking at probabilities. The simulation tells us there's a 90% chance we'll make at least 500 quid. Excellent. It's about a 50-50 shot we hit 850, but that really ambitious goal of 1,500 pounds? Only about a 30% chance of that happening. See? We're not just guessing anymore. We are making decisions based on actual data.
And this is where the rubber meets the road. Seeing that the rain could have a big impact helps us make a smart, informed decision. Is it worth spending £100 to rent a big tent, a marquee, just in case? The simulation gives us the numbers to actually weigh that cost against the risk of the whole event being a washout.
Okay, so this is great. We get the range of total outcomes, but we can go even deeper. Of all our variables, the weather, the attendance, the cake sales, which one of them has the biggest power to ruin our day? What is the single biggest risk we should be focused on?
To answer that question, we need another tool that pairs up perfectly with Monte Carlo. It's called a tornado diagram. So think of it like this. Monte Carlo shows you the combined effect of all the risks swirling around together. A tornado diagram, on the other hand, isolates each risk one by one to see how much power it has to swing your final result from amazing to disastrous.
And you can see immediately why it's called a tornado diagram, right? It's got that classic funnel shape. The variables are stacked up, with the one that has the biggest impact right at the top and the smallest at the bottom. So for our fate, this might tell us that the number of attendees is a way bigger risk than the price of jam. It tells us exactly where we should focus our precious time and energy.
Okay, now before you run off to simulate every single project on your plate, we need to have a little reality check. Because Monte Carlo Analysis is an absolutely incredible tool, but it is not a magic wand. It has some real limits that you have to understand.
First, and this is the big one, is the classic rule: garbage in, garbage out. Your simulation is only as good as the numbers and assumptions you put into it. It can also take a lot of computer power, and you do need a bit of statistical knowledge to read the results correctly. And honestly, sometimes the biggest hurdle is just people. A lot of organizations are just more comfortable with one simple number, even if they know deep down it's probably wrong.
This quote from a researcher named Nicholas Miranda just absolutely nails it. See, Monte Carlo is so powerful because it's so honest. It makes us face up to how little we actually know. It shatters the illusion that we can perfectly predict the future. And for some people, in a business world that demands certainty, that can be a really uncomfortable truth to face.
So here's the bottom line. Monte Carlo analysis does not make risk go away. Nothing can do that. What it does, and what it does brilliantly, is it gives that risk a shape. It makes all that fuzzy uncertainty visible, understandable, and most importantly, manageable. It shows you the odds so you can place smarter bets.
So, the next time you're starting a new project and you're staring out into that uncertain future, you've got a choice. You can stick with that one single dodgy guess and just cross your fingers. Or you can run the numbers. You can explore the thousands of possible futures, and you can truly understand the world of risk you're about to step into. What's it going to be?